Okay, well, to round out this, before we break, I'd like Regis to come forward. For those of you that are NBC provide, this is always played the role of our sort of brand strategist who helps us understand the path to get there. So we started off by laying out the vision and victim attention to help us understand the nature of threats we face, as well as help us understand that the path is, the vision is for a better life. Regis, and tell us how to get there. And as we all know, we stumble upon the Thomas Jefferson warned that the natural tendency was for liberty to yield as government gains ground. That's our ultimate frustration. So, Rick, we really appreciate you got to do this, right? So, drum roll, please. Just take it away.
Well, let me just say that that's not my ultimate frustration. That's just an issue we won't talk about. No, it was not a great lunch or what? That was one of my best positive days. I mean, it makes life worth living. If you don't have any sort of local stuff, that's really, they're really something special. So, as Kevin has summed up, Charles and Dr. Hanson and Ruber talked about what are choices. Okay, there is a choice of collectivism, which, as we've seen throughout history in the world today, leads to devastation to the population, and wonderful for the rulers, but terrible for everybody else. We're a free society in which everybody has an opportunity to benefit and to live their life as they choose to live. So where do we stand now? Let's take a quick look about America on this graph. We've got $16 trillion in debt. On a net present value basis, we've got $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities with no idea how we're ever going to or pay those off and meet those obligations. The labor participation ratio is the lowest in decades. That's extremely important. Labor participation ratio. That means more people are out in the labor market. And as I talk today, you'll see how critically important it is, because a job is a critical force of earned success. And I'm feeling good about yourself. We're increasing dependency programs in almost every dimension. This administration has gone nuts about handing out money they don't have, promising favors to people, the judgment of failure to fix the David Hanson said in just about every area. You name the government agency that isn't screwing something up. The Federal Reserve depreciating the currency. The Post Office running billions of dollars worth of deficits. The IRS being completely corrupt, losing email. The Veterans Administration, K-12 education, you know it. With our decline, which is obvious to the rest of the world, almost every dimension, foreign leaders are now emboldened to do things that they would otherwise not do. So you'll see the Russians now invading Crimea, planning to take over Ukraine, and basically try to recreate the Soviet Empire, China becoming more aggressive in Asia. The Middle East, of course, is a well-known mess. Increased terrorism, focused on punishing and killing Americans. And as Will pointed out, any general worth of salt, the most important defense is a strong economy. Well, this is happening. What are domestic leaders, domestic collectivists doing? They're attacking free speech. They're trying to destroy the dissidents. We have a speaker we have the president of the Senate who is 200 times trashed really Charles and David Koch and looked out. You think he might spend a little time focusing on some of those other problems. Okay? They changed the filibuster rules to pack the court. Mark Colton will talk about that tomorrow. And they're trying to amend the Constitution to ensure their continued dominance. So these live in very, very dangerous times. But I am not depressed because I believe that we are at a point, at a crossroads, like Victor David Hanson said, that you've seen the point in history. Our decline is becoming more and more palpable to Americans across the country. And while they're not particularly intrigued with some of their alternatives, they recognize that we need to do something fundamentally different. And there lies an opportunity. And that opportunity is you and me and the seminar network, because we are in the best position to challenge the collectivists and to turn this country around. We are the most credible threat that the collectivists have. Don't believe me. Let's look at what they do. Who are they attacking? They are spending more time attacking Koch and this seminar network than any other group in the country. Is that by accident? No, because they understand that we are the most credible threat to their continuing destruction of the American dream. So how are we going to seize this opportunity? Well, let me present the diagram, which I promised you I won't give you a death march through this, so I promise I'm not going to do this. But this is the integrated multifaceted structure production, which I shared with you during the first time of today, that those of you who have seen many times. We have built the most effective set of institutions and individuals and ideas for the side of liberty that has existed during my lifetime. Now, we're still qualifying opposition, but this offers our best hope. Now, we have been focusing on, as you know, educating and mobilizing people that are conservative, libertarians, that believe in freedom, which has been critically important to our success in beating cap and trade and in turning the House of Representatives around. And while we were very successful in 2010 in the electoral process, we got our clock cleaned in 2012. We're going to get our clock cleaned again. This is a long-term battle, but there's a lot of activity going on for 2014 in regard to the Senate that we'll hear a lot about Monday morning. Well, let me tell you, reiterate what Charles said. Okay, the 2-year cycle focused on the electoral process is a necessary but not sufficient condition for a win. And to the extent that we're overly consumed with the electoral process, that is a long-term losing strategy. And I'll show you this picture, and I won't spend a lot of time on it, but I want you to tell me where Democrats and where Republicans have really controlled the government, and where we've decreased government spending, where we've increased free enterprise. Okay? You don't know. As a matter of fact, some of the Republican regimes have increased government a lot faster and a lot greater than previous Democratic administrations. So, believe me, we need better people in government, and we're working hard on it, but it's not a panacea. And we can blame politicians about it, and we all love to break about politicians. But the ultimate responsibility is with the people. Okay, because politicians are responsive to the people in the ultimate end. If you look at Virginia, and you lose touch with the constituency, you pay the price. It's not a perfect system, but that's what we need to focus on, in addition to what we're doing. So let's take a look at what does that mean. We need to have, for long-term success, we need to get a majority of active Americans, okay, to understand the use of influence society. Now, I'm thinking 60%, 61% will do it, but you need one to the very end. It's a very uncertain, complex process. So we need to reach 60% of people who understand about freedom and who understand about collectivism. Let's take a closer look at that. These are just rough numbers, because everyone's got their own data, but roughly a third of this 60% of active Americans, okay, are sort of conservative libertarians. And we've been very successful in mobilizing them, and that's why we win midterm elections. That's why we can defeat cap and trade, almost defeated Obamacare, even though the Democrats held the House of Representatives. Okay. The collectivists have about a third, and they believe that growing government is the ultimate solution to all of our problems, and Victor Davis can explain that very clearly. The battle for the future of the country is who can win the hearts and minds of that middle third. That middle third is not ideologically unified in a way that the freedom-oriented third is, or the collectivist third. There's sort of a combination of different ideas and different philosophies, but whoever can mobilize the majority of that 30% will determine the direction of the country. So the freedom thing to be, in order to spare you a 20-minute dialogue about the strategy, put together a 2-minute video that would be much clearer than my 20-minute rant on this. And I'll show it to you now. Because we want your knowledge invested very effectively in a fight for freedom, we couldn't hire a professional narrator. So we found one who would do it for nothing, and it's a third-rate narration, but it really was the cheapest one we could find.
The national conversation today is dominated by divisiveness. Class warfare, government picking winners and losers, attacks on free speech and other constitutional rights. These destructive campaigns are pitting Americans against each other. We need to bring people together to provide a national conversation. We want to help these people improve their lives, to have Americans working with each other to solve real problems. We support these efforts with hard facts and rigorous research, leveraging science and universities to show what really drives well-being. We support a network of scholars who will focus on these issues to train the next generation of leaders. But that's not sufficient. Research must be translated in ways that people can understand how it impacts their daily lives and their communities. That's what state think tanks and citizen activists do, advancing these ideas and solutions in the state. They advocate their communities and work with local decision makers to advance policies that help people create value for themselves and their families. By doing this, we will mobilize more people in support of freedom and well-being. While we haven't mobilized people all across the country, we focus on intensive efforts in those states where people are most receptive to a message of freedom. We can make real progress in those focus states, building a majority presence there, and in doing so, creating conditions to impact federal government. If we are successful, there will be enough industry support to not only drive state policy, but also work with majority freedom advocates in the House of Representatives and in the U.S. Senate and get 317 electoral votes to elect a president who will advance freedom policy. The future of America ultimately depends on having a majority of educated and active citizens who understand and support a free and prosperous America.
So our section this afternoon, they're going to focus in depth on the first two stages of that strategy. We have panels each one, and Monday morning we'll focus on support the impact on federal government. But I want to talk to you about something that I am very, very excited about, and I think is key, as I've kind of alluded to. And let's focus on the middle third, because I think we're doing a pretty good job on the third set of freedom and libertarian and conservative, but we've got to reach the middle third. And I want to talk about three different topics that I think are critical to reaching the middle third. Middle third, I'm sorry, the middle third. Great people. And that is intent. The reason I did this stuff sound a little strange, so you have to bear with me for this. Intent, well-being, and meaning. And I'll explain that throughout the process. But one thing is intent or intention, as Charles articulated in his comments last night and earlier this year, is absolutely critical for this middle third. And for the freedom third, it isn't so much critical because they see the results for freedom. They see better housing, better clothing, better products. But intent matters in this middle third. And throughout Western civilization, intent has been extremely important. So we say you have intent. Well, the road to hell is paved with good intention, right? Well, so is the road to heaven. Okay? So intent matters. In the criminal justice system, to be a crime, you have to have knowledge and intent. There's a reason for that. When you have a complex case in the legal system, the jury who struggle with the law, what do? They try to figure out who's got the white hat, who's got the black hat, and they try to rule based on the well-intentioned of what party. Mitt Romney won on leadership, he won on the economy, he won on experience. What did he lose on? He lost on care and intent. Intent is extremely important. So let me I drawn just a really simple flow diagram to kind of illustrate this. On the horizontal axis, I've got failure in terms of advancing well-being and success. Everybody with me? Okay, on the vertical axis, I have good intent or ill intent. Okay, so this is about the middle third, based on focus groups, based on meeting many of the people in the middle third, and based on the state leaders and AFC and other groups. I've kind of put this very generalization together. This is not complete science, so don't kill me. But basically, the middle third understands that fascists and communists are both generate failures and they have bad intent. So they understand Stalin and Lenin and Hitler and Mao. Not everybody in that group, but basically they do. They understand the reality of the answer. Okay? But for liberals, They say, yeah, you know, our liberal programs haven't worked out that well, but you mean well. And that's important to me. They care about them. They want to do good things. Okay? What do they think about big business? Big business is being very successful. Okay, yeah, they produce great products. They do all the wonderful things that we'll talk about. Housing and clothes, we've got a lot of stuff. But you know what? They're greedy. Okay, they don't care about the underprivileged. They don't care about people that don't have the same opportunity. What do they say? What do people like me say? I grew up with pretty much very little. Okay? And I worked my butt off, get what I can. So these people that are like on the street and not doing it, they'll say, listen, get off your ass and work hard like we did. We didn't use to do it. Okay? We did it. Okay, that's what we do. Okay? Maybe not all of you, but we have a tendency to do that. What you will learn to you is something very different. This is for your younger generation. Okay, who benefited from our productivity, our project. They go to good colleges, they have cars, they have decent houses, we help them out, and they say, I've got all this opportunity, I haven't really earned it, it was my parents. And why did this kid down the street not have it? They feel guilty about it. So the pitch to them is not just opportunity for themselves, it's opportunity for other people. It's very important. Free market people are also viewed as greedy. Yeah, we want to decrease regulations. Wow, we can make more profit. Okay? Yeah, cut government spending so we don't have to pay as much taxes. Now, there's truth in that, we all know. Because we're in the 30% of the freedom fund. But the middle part of the group doesn't see it that way. And who wins this country is whoever can get in that northeast quadrant, who's got both success and good intent, will drive the country. Because they'll drive that 30%. It's going to be a lot easier for us because the liberals to be successful in the anxiety is extremely difficult because their programs fail. Okay, that's a lot harder. We're doing the hard stuff. We're actually producing well-being, but we've got to convince these people that we mean well, that we intend, and that we're good people. Okay, let's talk about one way we're going to do this, and that is our focus on well-being. Our focus, when we focus on decreasing government spending, over-criminalization, decreasing taxes, it doesn't do it. Okay? We've been reaching the third by telling them what's important, what we think is important should be important to them. They're not responding, they don't like it. Okay? Well, if we do that in business, what do? We want to find out what the customer wants, right? Not what we want them to buy. You know, I want them to pay for my narration to give me $1 million in narrative. What's the market say? 0. Okay? So we need to understand what they do. And what we've done, we took 20 years of objective research of left, right, middle scientists, and we've looked at 170,000 surveys of people around the world in the United States with a lot of people in the middle of what they think is important. And what they think are important is summarized by these 6 categories. And I don't spend a lot of time in it because there is a section on Monday afternoon, for those of you who are exploring these depth, I recommend you go there. The problem is that section is at the same time as the value added event, which is going to talk about how we're going to bring this to the middle third. So you have to make a choice there. If you're a couple, I say one go to one go to the other, share no afterwards. Okay. So this is opportunity. People want opportunity to serve the middle third for themselves, for their neighbors, for the community. Okay. They want a strong, healthy, they want health, and they want a clean environment, they want high living standards, they want freedom. We're talking economic freedom. They want political freedom, religious freedom, and civil rights. So we've been only hitting on 1 out of 4 cylinders in that area. Community relationships is extremely important to them, and peace and security is as well. So I talked a little bit about opportunity, but peace and security is also important to them, and it's an area we have to focus on. And it's not just international security from terrorism or whatever. They're really worried about street crime. Okay, they're worried about having kids safe to drive down the street and to go to the park. And that's where we're partnering with people to understand that problem, at the same time to prevent people from getting into a life of crime, providing them real opportunities and make our neighborhood safe. And we'll talk about during the next panel. Okay, so what is the last one? I want to talk about meaning. That's the meaning of life. And this is something that I've actually thought a lot about for 4 years. Matter of fact, is one of the topics that just stays with me constantly. And mankind has wrestled with this from the beginning of time. And that is the meaning of life. Well, let's talk about what the collectivists do, the meaning of life. They take people and they tell them that you're a victim. The American dream no longer exists. The people who build those businesses, you're built it on your back, but they're getting the majority share. And if you know anything about psychology and about people that have victimitis, they are the most psychologically ill-depressed, unproductive people. And they become depressed, they become addicts, or they become aggressive. You take 2 young children that grow up in horrible circumstances. The one that blames other people for it tends to stay there. The one in the worst circumstances in the world that doesn't blame people, that works to build himself up, tends to be very, very successful. So when you destroy someone's meaning by making them a victim, okay, you actually destroy their purpose in life. And psychology shows that is the main retreat ground for totalitarianism, for fascism, for conformism. When people feel like they're victims, and what we do is we take away their jobs and we make them dependent. So the big danger of minimum wage isn't the fact that some people are being paid more than their value added. That's not okay. It's not that it's hurting small business. That's not very easy. But it's the 500,000 people that will not have a job because of minimum wage. Because there is no such thing as a dead-end job. As Martin Luther King said, a paraphrase, every job is an opportunity. Okay, it's a start. And now what they're doing is we're taking these 500,000 people that would have had a job and putting them unemployed, making them as part of the government program, and destroying their opportunity for earning success. Okay, so we see this is a very, very big part of recruitment in Germany in the 20s, when the Germans were crushed by World War I. The Allies put a very strong settlement on that. They lost their meaning in life. And if you look at the Reich of the Third Reich, you can see that they're fighting, they're losing, they don't know what to do, whatever. And what happens is a fascist comes in and offers them an opportunity, finds the victim, Jews or the West, and offers them meaning for their life. Okay? The nation, Germany, the superior race. And they get intellectuals and professors and people to do the most horrific things. And this is not just in Germany, it's in Russia, in Lenin and Stalin's Russia. And then now, I mean, this is the recruitment ground for fascism. And it's not just historical, it's what goes on today in the suicide bomber recruitment. It's not just these young kids who don't know what to do. They're looking for something. We had in our seminar out here a number of years ago, an Egyptian doctor. I don't know if those are going to be here met him, but he was recruited to be a suicide bomber by Al-Qaeda. And he signed up. He's a doctor. He's a top of Egypt. Why would you do that? I asked him, why would you do this? Now, he had the brains to not put on the vest, and he ran and escaped. But he said, I just felt empty. He said, I know I was successful in this meeting. He just offered me, the battle for race gave my life meaning. And that's how I was recruited, and a lot of my wealthy, successful people were recruited. Meaning is extremely important. As you see in the United States, environmental movement, Occupy Wall Street. These kids are searching for meaning. They're protesting the 1%. They are the 1%. But they're protesting the 1%. The environmental movement on climate change. It's not about climate change. I've studied climate change for 6 years. I can't figure it out, but Charles is way ahead of me on this. I'm not a climatologist, so I'm not completely stupid. I can tell you, I meet with people, particularly in California, that are convinced the world's going to burn up in a year or two. They don't know the answer. They don't even know the question. Because it's not about climate change. It's about cause. This is the right meaning. And Harrison Ford is a great example of this. Harrison Ford said, I needed something out of myself to believe in. And I found it in hatred. kind of guy. And he's now a radical environmentalist climate alignment. So meaning is extremely important, and there's a battle for meaning. Okay, if these people become dependent, if they lose meaning in their life, you put them on government programs, you put them on welfare, you take away the job opportunities, we'll lose the country. Viktor Frankl focused on meaning with those that have chemical addiction. And his success against people off of chemical addiction was 400% higher than any other competing therapy. Because all he focused on was helping people find meaning for themselves. You can't give someone meaning. You have to help them find it for themselves. Here's a couple statistics on this. 90% of alcoholics are not psychologically ill. They see their life as without a purpose. 10-2 with that, same percentage. 85% of the students who attempted suicide said life seemed meaningless. What's interesting is 93% of that 85% of those students were actively engaged socially, performed well academically, and had good terms with their families. So by the university standards, they were well adjusted. They were exactly the people who you think would not commit suicide or attempt suicide. They did. Why? Because they lacked meaning. They lacked purpose. They didn't know what life was all about, or it was worth living. In surveys of students, 68% of all students in the United States, well, this is a research study in this case, it showed that the highest goal was developing meaningful philosophy of life. 16% of students said their highest goal was making a lot of money. 78% of students said their highest goal was finding a purpose. It's not just students and alcoholics and addicts. Okay, I'm not selecting this into this. This is a study of workers. 1,533 workers were asked what's important to you in a job. Good pay came in fifth. Fulfillment came in first. And that's why Charles has it as one of our principles in Koch industry. Fulfillment in your job is critically important. Here's one that surprised me. There was a study of Harvard grads 20 years after they graduated, of 100 Harvard grads, all successful on Wall Street, doctors, lawyers, or whatever, made a lot of money, are all structured in the imagination, were highly successful. Overwhelming percentage of them said they weren't sure if the success was worth it. They weren't sure why they had worked so hard and what they were doing. And this is actually the definition of midlife crisis. It's a lack of meaning in people's lives, and it affects all aspects of society. And in America right now, we're in a situation where we're living in a society where people have enough to live by, but nothing to live for. They have the means, but no meaning. It's past. In history, people every day had to get up to fight, to survive, to win. I mean, to use clothing and whatever. So their meaning was survival. Okay, and if you look at collectivist institutions, the institutions that have arrived or developed over time to give people meaning are almost all the ones they target. Meaning is often in the family. If you look at most of the collective policies, they attack the family. They attack marriage. Okay, you get penalized on welfare if you're married. If you're single, you get more money. Okay? They attack business. They attack religion. You look at Soviet Union, you look at China. Why do they attack religion? Because that was giving people meaning. And if people have meaning, they're not that deeply included to big government collectivist power. So what do we offer the middle third with our freedom approach, with our well-being approach? We can work with them, okay, on issues that are important to them. One is we offer them an opportunity to pursue their dreams as they do, not as some government officials do. And we maximize the opportunity with them. We offer the highest standard of well-being that the world has ever known for themselves, for their families, and for their neighbors. But most important, we offer them the opportunity of not being a victim, of not being dependent, not being depressed, not being mad at everybody, but of cooperatively working with other Americans to advance their earned success in their job, in their community, in any area that they think is important to them. That's what a free society offers. And that's what we need to be focusing on, and that's what we're spending a lot of time trying to develop. Now, we're not completely there, But that's what a very big part of what we're doing. Okay, if we can solve this problem and make it successful, I believe this seminar group will occupy that Northeast quadrant. That we know not only be able to see superior results through our free market activities, but also earn the respect and good feeling to that middle third. And I think you're going to hear that with some of our partnerships with the United English College Fund, with the National Association of Civil Sanctuary, and the other programs that we're developing. So let me close, because I'm running out of time, and I keep having to, Kevin, I'm going to go a little bit over because this is so absolutely critical. I'm going to ask for your patience. And if you don't give it to me, I'm going to just ignore you. So this is extremely important, okay? Now I want to close by sharing with you another final quote. And I need you to go sit down. No, seriously, I do, because I don't want you to get hurt. Okay? And you'll see why in a minute. What man is, he has become through the cause that he has made his own. So I've talked about what meaning means for the middle third. I want to talk a little bit about what meaning means for us. To fully appreciate this quote, I'm going to ask you to go on a journey with me. So I'm going to ask you to please close your eyes. For those of you that are standing up, I'd ask you to lean against the wall, because I don't want to fall over the drink. Everyone have their eyes closed? Early morning. After tomorrow. Moving out of the shower. Walk over to the stage. You keep your fingers on the intimate things that you've done before. And feel into you. In a moment of inner reflection, you ask yourself about how you have spent your life and how you will spend your life. The meaning of your life. It doesn't matter if you're a professor, an activist, a mom, or a multi-millionaire. What matters, my friend, is the answer to this question. Is my life a life of all? So I'm hoping that part of your answer to that question is like mine. And that is, a big part of the reason for my life is fighting collaboratively, which has impoverished and murdered more people in the last 100 years than through all of past civilizations. The fight for a free society that offers their fellow man the ability to advance their well-being and take care of themselves and their families to a greater extent than has ever existed in the history of mankind. We offer a moral system where people advance to the extent that they help other people. So my father told me to look in here over 50 years ago. So actually saying that this comes up Father's Day. I actually did not make this connection. I was sitting there going through my notes. But my father told me to look into the wheel. He said, every time you look in here, you need to right. And I was 13, I didn't fully understand how things could happen. When I look into the mirror, and I do this during the preparation for this, I saw my family. I saw my spirituality. I saw the Koch family. And I saw the Seminole people as representing the meaning of my life. So I want to thank you for being part of the fight for freedom. I can think of no better way than my way. And I hope you agree with that and devote yourself to helping us make
Undercurrent under the surface makes the mainstream get so nervous. It's time for purpose, for news to serve us, not with propaganda they use to hurt